Hey, this is Mikey with a quick video, and I want to do a review on this little gizmo right here. It's called the Beholder, and what it is it's a 3-axis brushless gimbal system for a smartphone. And you can see here this little carriage that holds the phone. Let me just show that to you. It opens up and it can hold different size phones. It comes with different little sizes of padding in here, so you can also hold different phones and make sure it's nice and secure. Really kind of a cool system. What I like about this is the footage is amazing. After this brief review of the build quality, I want to show you some footage. And what I did was I took footage using this. I took footage without using it, using just the built-in stabilizer into my iPhone. Then I also took footage with no stabilizer at all. And then I also took that footage and I stabilized it using the warp stabilizer in After Effects. So I've got 4 different versions, and you can see, you can compare the difference between them, and we'll talk about it in a bit. But as far as build quality on this thing goes, pretty darn good. I mean, the whole thing is solid metal, except for this carriage right here where you put your phone is made of plastic. But that's fine because you want it to be lighter so it's easier to balance. Really cool. There you can see here, there's a USB port, and you could actually use that to charge your phone if you wanted to. I tested it out and it works. Also, they have a little accessory light you can stick in there so you can kind of have a light on your phone if you don't already have one built in. Make sure you check out, there's a link in the description with more information on this. To the actual website where it has all the information on this. It's about $300. There's different prices with and without batteries. You can buy batteries separately. You can get extra batteries. It comes with this nice little box. And so in the box is the battery charger. It's a USB cable. And then it has these little weights. There's a couple of these little weights at different weight. So if you've got a bigger phone that may not balance properly, then you can have a counterweight on there so it balances properly, and it's not too hard to use. So I just have an iPhone 5S, and with that you don't need to have any counterbalance. So let me just stick this in. So you can see here, I've got the camera on, and right now it's not turned on. It's just kind of moving all about. But you just want to make it so it's as balanced as you can and as level as you can, and then you hold everything level, and then you hit the button. The button's right here on the handle, and it turns on, and it's running. So how it works is the roll axis, it'll keep it level. The pan, it'll smooth it out. And the tilt, it'll smooth it out as well. Pretty cool. So that is the Beholder. So let's go take a look at the footage and see how well this does. So here's the footage, and what you can see is 4 different video clips. And what I've done is I filmed it several times different ways. So obviously one of the ways I filmed it is using the Beholder 3-axis gimbal, but another way I filmed it is using just handheld iPhone footage, and the iPhone has a built-in software stabilizer that will kind of stabilize your footage. And so I made sure I filmed it that way. Another way is I filmed it using a different app on the iPhone that I can turn off the stabilizer. I wanted to see it with no stabilization whatsoever. And then the 4th way is I took that completely unstabilized footage and I used the After Effects warp stabilizer to smooth it out. So just take a quick second, look over these 4 clips, and just put down your guesses of what you think is what, and then I'll put on the labels here in a second. Okay, here it is with the labels on. And most of you probably guessed all of this. Let's first talk about the After Effects Warp Stabilizer, since we are in After Effects and this is an After Effects channel. Now the warp stabilizer at first glance looks like it's doing a pretty darn good job, but let's take a look at the background, especially over in these trees and this building here. You can see that when it starts to move a little bit too much, you get lots of jello-y wobbliness. And that is very typical of warp stabilizer. Even on this fairly simple, fairly slow clip, you're going to get lots of wobblies and jello. So something like this in an actual production may be able to work, may not be able to. I'd probably want to refilm that to try to get it as smooth as I can before I use the warp stabilizer. But that jello wobbliness is something that you don't want to see in an actual video. Now, the in-camera stabilizer built into the iPhone is actually doing a pretty good job. There's a lot less of the jello wobbliness as opposed to the warp stabilizer, but that's also moving around a lot more, and you can obviously tell that I'm walking with the camera. The no camera in-camera stabilizer is obviously the shakiest of the bunch, but hands down, the best of the 4 footage is the Beholder 3X's gimbal. This is amazing looking, very nice and smooth, steady. There's no roll, there's no bounce, and but it's not completely locked down like a dolly, so it still feels organic movement like a glide cam. So very, very impressed with the footage. I wanted to take this up a notch, and instead of just walking backwards with the camera, which incidentally is a hard thing to do, I did a video shoot for a company called Cow Ranch where we were walking backwards through their aisles in their store, and I had to use the glide cam and the DSLR, and it didn't turn out as nice as this. So this is pretty impressive to me. But I wanted to take it up a notch, and where we're running through the trees. So let's take a look at that. So here are these same 4 camera setups, but this time running through the trees. And as you can see, the Beholder 3X's gimbal, I think by far is the best of the bunch. If we look at the in-camera stabilizer built into the smartphone, it does a pretty good job. It's still pretty shaky, and it's kind of smooth and it shakes real fast, smooth and it shakes real fast. So I think that's the software just kind of stuttering a little bit. With the no software in the in-camera, it's pretty darn shaky all around. And if that's kind of the look you're going for, like a Jason Bourne type thing, then I guess that could work. Using the warp stabilizer, though, it's cropped in way too much in order to be able to make it fit, and it still didn't really stabilize it that much, and there's still some jello in the background. So production setting for an actual client, this is probably a no-go for me. So my choice of the 4, of course, is going to be the Beholder, just because it's really amazing footage. Just a couple of last little tidbits I wanted to talk about. Well, first off, special thanks to Brian, who is the subject of the video. He didn't know this morning that he was going to be running through the woods until he got to work, and I said, let's go run through the woods. And so thank you to him. And also, but I wanted to talk about, you can see with the Beholder, the one thing that was actually easier without using the gimbal system was keeping the subject center of the camera. Because as he turns around this corner, here at the beginning, you can see he almost runs off camera, and that's because the gimbal has kind of a soft pan. It smooths out your pan, and so even though I was turning to kind of keep up with him, it was faster than it was panning. So that is the one thing about this is when you got a subject in your camera moving back and forth, it's harder to keep it centered. It was easier to keep it centered. You can see this, just bottom left. He's pretty much centered the entire time. But obviously it's a lot more shaky. So that is one thing to consider when you're using a gimbal system like this. As you can see from the footage, this thing is pretty rock solid of really good looking footage. And I'm going to come out and say this, that I do video production, and I would use this on a set. I've done stuff with Steadicams and glide cams before using a DSLR, and this is so much easier, and I think the results look just as well. When you're doing glide cam and Steadicam work anyways, you don't want to have a nice shallow depth of field and a telephoto lens, because you're not going to be able to focus on it, because you can't have your hands on the camera while you're using it. So you want a wide angle lens anyways and a deep depth of field. So that's exactly what these smartphones do. And 1080p, really nice footage. I can shoot 120 frames a second if I want to. And just cell phone footage is getting better and better and better all the time. This thing has about a 90-minute battery life, which is pretty darn incredible. You're not going to be using it the entire time, and you can always get replacement batteries for it if you need to. So that is the Beholder. Definitely check out the link in the description, and I highly recommend it. Really cool. I'm going to be using it a lot, and hope you enjoyed this video. Talk to you later. See you. Bye.